SMT Nation, we are back. Nation, in today's video, I want to take a look at some important consumer information. This is about home broadband providers. I want to take a look at all the major network operators, the ones that build home broadband, take a look at their technologies that they sell us, and take a look at the speeds that they can offer us through those different technologies. So this is going to be a pretty deep dive. I'll do things in alphabetical order by provider, and you guys can kind of see what they're all doing. This data is from the end of 2023. I'll be interested to see what the data shows in 2024 as we can kind of track the percentages and how the trends are changing for each of these companies. But just kind of put that on your back burner, right? This is kind of a year-old data. We'll get the new stuff here in a few months, and we'll take a look at the changes and what's kind of stayed the same and other things. All right, so we're going to look at the speeds and the technologies for all these companies. I'm going to just get me out of here for a moment so that way you guys can see the data. Pinch to zoom at any point, obviously, and you can see some of the numbers. So starting first with Altice, otherwise known as Optimum, predominantly known as a cable operator, right? Okay, so the speeds that they offer, they're fast. They are a true broadband provider. They typically offer speeds, well above, whatever the definition of home broadband is, right? So they don't sell anything less than 940 megabits per second, or it says here at least 100, but less than 940. So actually, some of their cable customers at Altice don't have access to 940 megabits. Now that 940 megabits represents, a gigabit per second, right? That's gigabit speed tier. So 1 gig or higher, 1000 meg, whatever. 96% of their cable customers have access to gig speed. Only 3% don't. So if you have Altice in your area and they service your region, chances are you have high speed options, right? Their fiber customers, 36% of their network is fiber. All gigabit speed tier is available, right? So Altice is a fast provider. This is not about reliability. This is not about cost. Just looking at the metrics there. All right, AT&T, moving on to them. They're a little bit more of a complicated provider. They've been in business for a long time, going back to when they installed copper. So they sell copper. Well, they used to sell copper. They no longer sell that service. They're decommissioning it, actually. So if you have it, but you won't have it for long. That's their DSL. The fiber to the premise is their new focus. It's been their focus for a while now, but now they're also trying to scale fixed wireless a little bit, right? So they've got the 3 technologies. We'll just note the copper piece. 25% of customers, so 1 in 4 that have copper available to them, have less than 25 meg speed. This is why they're decommissioning copper. People don't want it. It's not really adequate. It doesn't suit the needs. It doesn't satisfy customers, right? Between 25 megabits and 100 megabits is 40% of those copper customers. And that would be just like the VDSL customers who likely are close enough to the CO to where they can actually get that speed. And then at least 100, but up to 940, 8% of copper customers can do that. That's really, really uncommon. Okay. And obviously, I don't think they sell any DSL that could do, gigabit speed here. All right. Now, fiber to the premise, 35% of their customers have access to the fiber piece. They offer gigabit speed tiers across everywhere. They have fiber. They have 2 gig tiers. They have 5 gig tiers. They'll probably move into a 10 gig tier if they haven't already, and those types of things. All right, fixed wireless, that's kind of something that AT&T has done at a small scale. They did it with point-to-point. Now they're doing it over their mobile network. So less than 25 meg, that's 1%. Between 25 and 100 is at 24%, and 100 to 940 at 3%. All right, this is 2023 data, right? So not many customers getting access to really fast speeds from AT&T. In the future, I would expect those copper numbers to be eliminated, right, in the next reports. The fiber to the premise should stay at the 940 meg range. That percentage of locations that have access to fiber, that number will go up. And then the fixed wireless piece, I think the 25 to 100 number, that's probably going to be flat. It's the 100 to 940 that's going to likely increase the most. All right, let's take a look at Charter, otherwise known as Spectrum. All right, cable, all their customers, right? Like 99% of their customers have access to cable. Their fiber customers, a small portion, I think 1%, have access to fiber, they have access to gigabit speed tiers too, right? So where they have cable, it's fast. Comcast, it's the same thing, same dynamic, right? 99% of customers have access to cable, 1% with fiber. It's all gigabit speed tier. All right, Cox, their cable customers, right? 96% of them have access to cable. There's a small percentage that have access to fiber, and I think they have a little bit of FWA, but you'll see mostly fast gigabit speed tiers. Frontier, that's a company that purchased their assets from Verizon many, many years ago. They operate some copper, they operate fiber, they don't have any FWA or fixed wireless. You'll see that with their fiber, 68% of their footprint, their customers have access to it. It's fast, right? Gigabit speed tiers. Their copper is a mixed bag. You have really, really slow copper for Frontier. That's in the less than 25 meg range. So when Verizon purchases Frontier, you're going to look to see some changes there, right? That copper percentage should go down if it's not going to be decommissioned completely at some point. 4% of the base, 25 to 100 meg, and then 1% of the base between 100 and 940. Looks like their copper is a real problem. Fiber to the premise is really the future, and I think Verizon will be capitalizing on that. Last I checked, I think Frontier had cable too, but I could be wrong on that. Maybe you guys can correct me. Lumen or CenturyLink, they operate fiber and copper. Obviously, their copper speeds are very slow, 44% less than 25 meg, 35% of their customers between 100 or between 25 and 100, and then 14% between the 100 and 940. And where they have fiber, obviously really, really fast. 19% of their footprint has fiber. Those offered gigabit speed. T-Mobile's fixed wireless access. This one's interesting, right? 48% of customers have access to less than 25 megabits per second. I cannot believe it's that high. Very typically, people enjoy faster speeds than that. 52% have the 25 to 100 megabit per second tier. And then from the 100 to 940, that's about 20%. So to give you guys perspective, again, this is 2023 data. 1 in 5 customers have true broadband speed. But like those percentages, those other ones, the 48%, the 52%, that's less than 100 meg, that's not ideal for 2025. We'll look to see those numbers decreasing and look to see the higher tiers increasing. TDS, you guys may know them from the US Cellular situation with T-Mobile. They operate fiber to 6% of their customers, and that's fast, right? Gigabit speed tiers. Fixed wireless, 56% of their customers have access to very, very slow speeds. 37%, I guess, decent, right? But up to 100 megabits, but only 2% have access to over 100 megabits and up to 940. They definitely could use some reinvestment into that. So TDS, not a very fast company when it comes to speed tiers. And then with Verizon, big company, right? 12% of their customers have access to 25 to 100 meg on the fixed wireless side. 50% of their customers have access to the 100 to 940. And then 6% have access to 940 megabit or more, or 33%. I'm looking at the numbers wrong. 0%, 0%, and 0% for the fiber. 33% have access to gigabit speed tier in their base. So these connections are telling us something important. The true broadband solution is fiber. Where fiber goes, fiber wins. Fiber is the ultimate in connectivity. Fiber is the best connection. It's the most reliable. It's the fastest. It's the most future-proof. Copper is on its way out. DSL cable. It's suitable. It's adequate. You could see it could compete with fiber in some instances. But really the future is fiber. That's kind of my takeaway. What do you guys think? Who's your provider and what type of access do you have? What speed tiers? Which technologies? And do you like it? I think that's an important thing to consider. Sound off. Let me know. Drop me a comment. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And we'll see you all on the next video. Peace.